The quiet village of Maple Hollow stirred with golden sunlight each morning. Birds chirped, the river hummed, and every day at exactly 6:30 a.m., an old man named Thomas Harper walked through the village trails with his loyal dog, Rusty. Rusty was a golden retriever, aged but strong, with fur like autumn leaves and eyes that spoke of 100 shared memories. Thomas had rescued Rusty as a pup from a flooded roadside ditch 11 years ago. Since then, they had been inseparable. Through grief, joy, birthdays, and quiet dinners. The villagers often smiled when they saw the pair. Children called Rusty the gentleman dog because he never barked, never pulled, and always waited for Thomas to catch up. But Thomas was growing slower. His hands trembled sometimes, and Rusty, though he couldn't speak, seemed to notice. He lingered closer, slept by the door, watched Thomas longer than before. One chilly autumn morning, the sky wore a pale gray coat. Thomas buttoned up and leashed Rusty for their daily walk. The leaves crunched under their feet as they wandered the familiar forest path, Thomas humming a tune, Rusty alert, yet calm. But halfway through the trail, something changed. Thomas clutched his chest. His legs buckled. He gasped. Rusty, and then he fell. Thomas lay motionless, the forest silent except for the distant rustle of leaves. Rusty whimpered, nudging his master with his nose. But Thomas didn't stir. The dog circled him, barked once, then twice. His instincts roared louder than his confusion. He knew something was terribly wrong. There was no one in sight. No phones. Just trees. Rusty paced, then darted off down the trail. But after a few yards, he stopped. He looked back. He ran to Thomas, licked his hand. Still no movement. Then Rusty made a decision. He bolted. He ran faster than he had in years, paws skidding, over wet leaves. He leaped over roots, ducked under branches, his lungs heaving. It was more than instinct. It was love that guided him now. Back at the village road, people were gathering for the market. That's when they saw him, Rusty charging out of the woods, wild-eyed, panting, barking. Rusty? A child called. But Rusty didn't stop. He ran to the local baker, Mr. Lewis, and bit at his sleeve, tugging hard, barking, spinning in circles. Something was wrong. Mr. Lewis dropped his breadbasket and followed him. Then others did too. A small group chased behind. Rusty as he led them back into the woods, his tail like a flag, his bark slicing through the air. They found Thomas slumped on the ground, barely breathing. "Call an ambulance!" someone shouted. Mrs. Harlan, a retired nurse, checked his pulse. "He's alive, but fading fast. Quick." Rusty sat beside Thomas, whimpering quietly now, eyes fixed on his master's face. He placed one paw on Thomas's chest as if to say, "I'm here, don't go." Paramedics arrived within minutes. They worked fast. CPR, oxygen, IV drip, azole. They loaded Thomas into the ambulance. Rusty tried to jump in. "Wait, he's his dog," said Mr. Lewis. "Let him ride." The paramedic nodded. Inside the ambulance, Rusty sat beside Thomas, head resting on the old man's arm. The journey was silent except for the steady beep of the heart monitor. At the hospital, doctors stabilized Thomas. A mild heart attack, they said, but he had been found just in time. Had it been even 10 minutes later, things might have been different. The nurse at the front desk chuckled as she watched Rusty sitting calmly in the waiting room, his leash looped around a chair leg. "Never seen a dog bring in a patient before." Thomas awoke 2 days later to soft light, the beeping of machines, and a warm weight by his side. Rusty. He lay curled in the hospital bed's edge, chin on the blanket, eyes closed. When Thomas stirred, Rusty looked up and wagged his tail gently as if to say, "Welcome back." Tears welled in Thomas's eyes. "You saved me, boy." The story spread through the village and beyond. Local newspapers ran headlines. Loyal dog saves owner after heart attack. Children drew pictures of Rusty. The mayor gave him a medal, though Rusty had no use for such things. All he wanted was his walks, his master's hand, and quiet evenings by the fire. Thomas recovered, stronger than before. He changed his diet, took his pills, and never walked the trail alone again. Not without Rusty. On their first walk after the hospital, Thomas paused under their favorite oak tree and knelt beside Rusty. "You gave me a second chance," he whispered, voice thick. "I owe you everything." Rusty simply leaned in, pressing his head to Thomas's chest. The sun broke through the trees. Another morning. Another miracle. Moral: a dog's loyalty knows no bounds, and sometimes love alone can save a life.